Over the last 18 months, India has proved to be an oasis of opportunity in an otherwise volatile global economy. With ASSOCHAM under the presidency of Rana Kapoor playing a vital role in partnering the government in its quest to restore confidence in the economy. As Rana Kapoor signs off on a highly successful 2-year term as ASSOCHAM president, the chamber has succeeded in garnering significant mindshare and traction among the government, investors and key thought leaders. Mr. Kapoor has taken ASSOCHAM global, opening chapters and offices in key geographies like London, New York, Dubai and Hong Kong. ASSOCHAM also recently held its 95th annual event, which was graced by top ministers, policymakers and thought leaders. The event also saw the release of the Winds of Change publication by the finance minister himself.
Shri Rana Kapoor, the president of the ASSOCHAM, leaders of the industry, ladies and gentlemen. Let me at the very outset thank Mr. Kapoor and his team for having invited me to speak at the annual event of the ASSOCHAM, where you are reaffirming your belief and confidence in India and its ability to be amongst the global leaders in the world. I'm conscious of the fact that under the somewhat prolonged and continuing leadership of Mr. Kapoor, there is a lot of energy that ASSOCHAM has shown in the last few years. With a lot of competitiveness amongst the various chambers itself, to make your presence felt in that large crowd, one has to endeavor. And by the consistent display of that continuous energy, bringing out documents, reports, think tank activities, working ahead of others, thinking ahead of others, I must say that the recognition and identification of ASSOCHAM as a prominent leader of the industry has itself been reaffirmed. And it is no mean achievement that to keep a positive environment going, particularly when the global trends are never very exciting. I do believe that the new global norm is volatility and turmoil. And if you see occasional green shoots or signs of recovery, at times that proves to be patchy, can we insulate ourselves entirely from the global trends? The answer is no, we can't. How do we minimize the impact in adversity? And how do we take an advantage out of the emerging global situation? History presents us with this challenge. Those in India who stall reforms must simply realize that India of 2015 is not the India of 1971. The place for obsolete thinking and that space in India is now shrinking. India has become increasingly aspirational. It's not merely your middle class. It's those aspiring members of those aspirational classes who are aspiring to get into the middle classes and even higher. They also believe that they can find their place under the sun. And that constituency today, which is aspirational, which supports growth, which supports reforms, is inherently much bigger than those who obstruct it. China has slowed down, but it still shoulders a very large part of the global growth. The world markets have shrunk. Therefore, the export sectors globally are suffering. In India's case, it is substantially values and partly volumes which are impacted on exports. So the global slowdown does impact on us. Those who buy from us, their capacity to buy is now limited. Additionally, if the price of refined oil, India's export basket is 18% refined oil. And therefore, if the oil prices are down to half, commodity prices are down, metal prices are down, there will be a shrinkage both in the export and the import market. So that is one adverse impact that we have. Currency battles across the world will also have an impact both on our markets and our currencies. How do we then not merely showcase, but effectively grow India into an economy where global investors feel that this is a place which is safe for me to invest? And therefore, we in India must seriously realize that globally the investors are looking forward to us. We are getting more investment than any other country in the world. And therefore, we must seize this opportunity, cut the corners wherever they exist, so that we can not merely take baby steps, but cumulatively take a large number of significant steps which bring about structural changes as far as the Indian economy is concerned. One has to realize that when in doubt, you must think straight and go straight. What is it that we need for that extra 1 or 2% growth rate? You need to continue with this process of structural reforms. You need to rationalize your taxations. You need the GST. You need more investment. You need to put more money into infrastructure, more money into irrigation. Because these are sectors, infrastructure at least takes some reasonable time before bringing back the results. Irrigation brings back immediate results. And therefore, our challenge is, can we take all these steps and get that cutting edge which is needed to bring us that extra 1 to 2% over our current rates? And that in a globally adverse environment where the winds are not exactly helpful. So if the global winds become more helpful, we are able to continue with these reforms, increase the level of private sector investment. Our ambition to increase our growth rates by an extra 1 or 2% will then appear to be modest. And therefore, we need a lot of popular support in order to make sure that some of these very logical steps, hurdles are not created in them. And if we are able to do that, I see India's journey and destination to evolve challenging, but not very difficult. Thank you very much, Mr. Kapoor and your team, for having invited me.
Rana Kapoor then reflected upon his tenure as ASSOCHAM president and highlighted the organizations partnering with the government in trying to herald economic prosperity for one and all.
This annual event has been a bit of a moving target, but I'm very happy it's finally happening. When I took over the presidency, I made only 1 or 2 suggestions. Vision is very easy, strategy is the easiest part. But the methodology and the execution around the methodology, how to get everything done. Prime Minister's vision, ASSOCHAM vision, whatsoever. The most important thing is great leadership, that a minister who has the ability to tell his secretaries and his team how to get the methodology and how to get the execution done. This has been my theme as the president of ASSOCHAM, and I will live by it. I will request every minister, even at the cost of fault, to make sure that we are not making only speeches, we are getting things done. The fact of the matter is that ASSOCHAM has played a very instrumental role, nothing to do with me, but it's been like a turning point in the last 18 months. In many ways, we have contributed. We contributed to policy establishment. We contributed in a very detailed way, because, there's a devil in the detail. So we like to contribute through policy issues and through a lot of detail.
Yes Bank and ASSOCHAM released a knowledge report at the event to provide further impetus to the government's Make in India strategy, with Suresh Prabhu, the Minister of Railways, doing the honours. The minister called upon the nation as a whole to rally around the government and participate in the process of nation building.
There are opportunities of many kinds. We are moving in it, and railways itself, in my opinion, could contribute to 2.5% to 3% of GDP over a period of time. And that will happen. So just imagine, railway itself will contribute to GDP growth. Our GDP will grow because Prime Minister's focus on manufacturing. Manufacturing will pull up services. Manufacturing will pull up agriculture. All of that will start firing. We'll have a people-driven growth rate. As you know, people itself can contribute to the growth. Just imagine the amount of growth that can come only because of taxation being properly structured. And has that happened in China? The GST, China call it by other name, China had gone through many processes. There was a very long time ago, China used to collect tax at local level and then send it up. Then China had this very different kind of system. They also changed it to something similar to this, which has resulted into China benefiting by at least a percentage point of GDP growth. Retail will again bring in the growth rate, but to make all of this happen, we need a change of ideas and bring in new policies in place, and all of that will happen as we are going along. Each of these is happening. What is necessary is having faith and patience with ourselves. I appeal to all my friends in India, whatever party they belong to, whatever affiliation they may have, whatever ideology they may belong to, that is one part at the time of election we should try to exercise it. But nation building requires participation, cooperation of all of you. All segments of society must work with this common goal. Common goal is one, we must make India better. At the time of election, let us find out faults with each other. But while in the process of building India, let's all work together, and that is what I think Mr. Rana Kapoor and his team has said. This is like believing in India. That is what is important. And if you believe in us, we'll reach there. But will all these policies, if we don't believe in ourselves, how will we reach there? And therefore, this is very important. And I think that's why I'm very happy that ASSOCHAM has decided to devote a session for this topic. As always, you have been thinking positive, which I've seen. So I think this positivity will bring in even better results. The medicine will help, which is the policies. But positivity is the response of the body to the medicine. If you don't try to do that, then probably with all the best of medicine, best of doctors, best of policies, best of government, we'll not get it if we as a body, we as a society, do not try to respond to positivities. The signals are flowing around us. It's one matter of just seeing it and try to believe in it and try to take it forward. And for whom are we doing it? We are doing it only for ourselves because we are all Indians. And if we don't believe in ourselves, nobody else is going to come and help us. If you expect the neighbor will come and clean my toilet, he's not going to do it. So we must make sure that I have to set my house in order. I will work on it. This is my country. We believe in ourselves and we'll make it happen. And that's why to make this happen, this is a beginning. Congratulate once again ASSOCHAM and all their distinguished members for believing in themselves. believing in India and therefore believing in future that is so bright for all of us. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kapoor's leadership skills were lauded by Piyush Goyal, Minister of State independent charge for power, coal, new and renewable energy. The minister particularly appreciated ASSOCHAM's efforts to transform the socio-economic landscape of India.
First of all, Rana, I must compliment you for your leadership of ASSOCHAM in the last 2 years. You've really taken ASSOCHAM to a new level, which we had not seen before. The kind of programs that I've seen in the last couple of years, the kind of engagement, the positive suggestions. It's so easy to be cynical and it's so easy to be always criticizing. Very, very fashionable to just ask questions. But it's very difficult for a leader of an industrial association to always go with a solution, to always go with a suggestion. And Rana and you have always found that you always came with very, very good suggestions, very actionable agenda points. And I'm sure all of us in government, the political leadership and the bureaucracy, as well as industry, has benefited significantly from your leadership. And I do hope you'll continue to serve both the country and ASSOCHAM with equal vigor and equal gusto as you have done in the last couple of years. So please do remain associated, involved. You played a very, very important role in the Reinvest conference that we had in February earlier this year. And I must acknowledge to all of you the role that ASSOCHAM played in that, and particularly Rana and also Yes Bank. And I remember originally it was being largely spearheaded by the two other national institutions. But seeing the enthusiasm and the significant role that Mr. Rana Kapoor was playing, I think we had ourselves suo moto upgraded the engagement to a partner engagement. And I'm sure in the months and years to come, all of us together will make a difference to the economy, will make a difference to the lives of the people of India, and I do hope will transform the socio-economic landscape of India. As Mr. Koilo had said, and then repeated by that Shah Rukh Khan movie, when you desire something very passionately, the entire universe conspires to make it happen. I am confident that with the conviction of Prime Minister Modi and his leadership behind me, all of us will make Uday and the success of the power sector happen to serve the people of India with 24/7 power, affordable power in the days to come. Thank you.
Amitabh Kant, the secretary at the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, spoke glowingly of Rana Kapoor's role in providing dynamism to ASSOCHAM. He exhorted Indian companies to display the same bold leadership skills and to make good use of the glorious cusp of growth India is currently at.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure and a privilege to be at the ASSOCHAM annual meet here today. Let me also return the compliments which Rana has paid and compliment him for having provided great vibrancy and dynamism to ASSOCHAM and provided a huge amount of impetus to ASSOCHAM as an organization. I wish it all the best and may it emerge as one of the top associations of the world. And India is on a long spurt of growth. Its story has just begun. 3 decades of consistent growth. If you delayed by 3 years, 4 years, you would have ceded leadership. It will be too late to get into India. I mean, Vodafone will find it impossible to make that kind of quantum jump 4 years later. Or Renault will find it impossible to do this kind of manufacturing 4 years later. The time is now. The opportunity is now. All of you must seize that opportunity. And that's what great companies are all about. It's about It's about great companies taking over leadership, especially, bold leadership in companies at times when countries are on the major cusp of growth is important. And I would just request that leadership must emerge from Indian companies. They must drive India's growth. They must become the key champions of growth. And to my mind, essentially transformation is about people. And this is a unique opportunity. We are at a cusp of a change, and the people of India must rise to this occasion. And people of India must have a sense of ownership about India. It's not about somebody else's India. It's not about saying that we are tolerant or intolerant. This is our India. We have to make this India. If we don't make this India, who will make this India? And therefore, to my mind, we must have a sense of pride. We must have a sense of ownership of India. And I turn to this 14th century Indian poet. He was a Muslim. He wrote in Persian. His ancestry was Turkic. But he counted himself to be the luckiest man alive to have been born in India and to have India as his motherland. And he said of that period of India, how exhilarating is the atmosphere of India. There cannot be a better teacher than the way of life of its people. If any foreigner comes by, he'll have to ask for nothing because they treat him as their own and show him how to smile like a flower. And it is this 14th century India which Amir Khusro talked about. This is the India which we are all talking about. There has to be a sense of pride. There has to be a sense of ownership. This is our India. We must transform it. And that is the challenge for all of us, for ASSOCHAM and for the people of India. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
I suffer from the disadvantage.
Jitendra Singh was one of the galaxy of ministers at the event, and he used the platform to mull over the mindset needed in the country in adapting to its changing socio-economic landscape.
Friends, ladies and gentlemen, the question this evening, at least as far as I am concerned, would be not as to what we can do to transform the socio-economic landscape, but how best to adapt to this transformation happening before us, so that A, we become facilitators to this phenomenon and also have claims to take credit for it, and B, we become optimum beneficiaries of it, so that we are not left behind. We have to mend our social attitudes. B, we have to correct ourselves where we are economically misplaced. And C, we have to get over the split mindsets. And therefore, to sum up, when we talk of corruption, can we talk of incorruptibility? Try giving a bribe to a Scotland Yard cop and see the consequences. He'll thrash you back. We talk of eliminating corruption. We talk of more stringent rules. We don't talk of achieving the goal of incorruptibility, which would also supplement our society and also supplement our economic endeavors. We talk of employment. Can we talk of employability? We are trying to produce job seekers. Can we think of creating job creators that will live up to Prime Minister Modi's Startup India mission? In the end, I would say that this is one of the best times happening in India, because here you have a government which supports, which patronizes, which encourages out-of-box ideas, out-of-box experimentation. Thank you.